Good morning, YouTube. Big Dog Brett. Hey, wanted to talk about the SEC championship game. There's so much talk going on right now just because it is the SEC championship game, and there's the rumors have gotten so far spread that they're even talking about that Gus Malzahn might be flirting with going to Arkansas. I don't know that that's the case, and I don't know that it has any impact on the game. Looking at the different ways that the last game went, I'm hearing all the analysis between ESPN and Dog Nation and SEC fans here and there. I just don't think that this game's going to go the same way. I really predicted that Georgia was going to come out and really hurt Auburn, and it didn't really go that way at all. It kind of went just the other way, and I think some of the reason behind that is because Georgia wasn't as hungry, and I think they might have classified Auburn as, we beat them last year, we'll beat them again, which is exactly what I did. I think that there's a good opportunity now, from listening to what's going on the Auburn side of the fence, that they believe that this is kind of their birthright, or some nonsense like that. I don't see it. Granted, yeah, you beat a number one Georgia team, and you beat a number one Alabama team, and nobody can take that away from you. That's a great job. What I will say, though, is in the past, the record tends to show that if you play a team a second time in a season, they usually win. Also, if you go back and you really look at that game, there was a lot of things that really affected that game. There was a touchdown pass, a couple of touchdown passes we missed that would have been big plays. There were the offensive line had a bad game. Jake Fromm didn't do that great. Defense had a terrible game. So because of all those factors, Georgia just kind of fell apart at the seams. One of the redeeming factors, though, is that I will say is if you go back to that very first drive that Georgia had, where we just kind of went down the field and scored a touchdown really quickly, I think that there's some opportunity to work in that direction. Some of the things that maybe I think we should be doing would be to get Jake Fromm to, hit some deep passes and some stuff across the middle, potentially throw in some screenplays. Auburn's kind of running this man-to-man high safety coverage, and you can abuse it, and we didn't. Really what we did is we kept trying to pound the rock, hoping that game was going to open up, and it never did. Alabama had some success throwing the ball, and Jalen Hurts is not that good of a quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a rock star quarterback. He's good at running, but his passing just isn't the best in the world. And I think Jake Fromm has an opportunity to really show out in this game. Hopefully Kirby Smart and the rest of the guys and the coaching staff have learned from their mistakes. I'm sure they've been watching tape ever since that game on how to combat that. Hopefully Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, and DeAndre Swift will really get it going. Speaking of which, DeAndre Swift, that guy's a beast. We need to find a way to get the ball in his hands more, especially in games where Nick Chubb and Sony Michel are kind of getting shut down. And I give him opportunities to be a playmaker. I really want to see more plays where the fake handoff to Nick Chubb, if they're going to zero in on Nick Chubb, then help them. Let them zero in on Nick Chubb and do some quarterback draws. It's really not that complex. There's been several plays where Jake Fromm has faked the handoff to Nick Chubb, and he's just gotten hammered in the backfield because everybody keys in on this guy and abuse that. Kirby Smart has shown the willingness to abuse defenses' over-aggressiveness, and I think that's a good opportunity for us to take advantage of that and move forward. Am I excited about this game? Absolutely, I'm excited about this game. Am I a little nervous about this game? Sure, well, who wouldn't be? The thing that I think, though, and I often talk about this in my videos, is the mentality of how each team views it going in from the locker room. I think that what you've got right now on the Auburn side is they're flying really high. We beat Georgia once, we're going to beat them again. We beat Alabama, they were number one. Nobody's going to stand in our way. And that's the exact kind of mentality that takes the top-notch teams down. When you think you're number one and nobody can touch you, that's when somebody comes out there and knocks you right off that pedestal. So looking at Georgia, Georgia's mentality is really not that in the locker room. The Georgia mentality is really that, hey, this is our opportunity. We knew we were going to have to win this game, regardless of what happened at the Auburn game. We knew we were going to have to win this game. And so there is a lot of push and a lot of drive in that locker room. That hunger, I think, is back, and I think you're going to see it. You're going to see that physicality show back up that maybe wasn't there in the Auburn game. If you watched the Georgia Tech game, you saw there was a lot of physicality there. I think you're going to see that again. I think there's a lot of emotions in this game. And I think one of the biggest things that Kirby Smart has probably talked to the team about is to try not to do too much. We saw that in the first Auburn game where, yes, a rivalry game, and Georgia's really amped up, and they made some mental mistakes, which are 100% avoidable. They made some game mistakes, which are going to happen, but they didn't recover from it very well. They decided, well, we're going to try harder, and sometimes that trying harder is just not going to work. You have to do what you've practiced, not overcommit to trying to intercept a ball or knock a ball loose, because it allows people to run for further. So if we get that stuff cleaned up, I think it's going to be a solid game. Now, some people have said, many places have said, Georgia's going to win by 1 point or 2 or 3. I think ESPN's got the game pretty much at a 50-50. I think that you're going to see one of two things. I think it's going to come down to the Rodrigo Blankenship kicking game. And I also think that Georgia's probably going to win by 6. I don't think you're going to win by 1. I think by 6. And I think what's going to happen is that it's going to come out and it's going to kind of be a dogfight. No pun intended. It's going to kind of be a dogfight for most of the game. And you're going to see as we get later in the game that Kirby Smart's going to take the opportunity to kick the field goals and take the points and edge the game that way. We've won games like that in the past. I would love to see us bust loose with a running game or big plays on. But I think that it's really going to come down to our ability to get within field goal range and take advantage of that, which not a lot of teams have done against Auburn. Georgia does very well in the red zone. I think that if we clean up special teams, we find a way to hit a few big plays, make the secondary for Auburn play smart, play honest. They won't be able to load the boxes heavy. I think we can get some stuff going. But if we go out there with the same exact game plan and make the same mistakes, there's just no way that we're going to win that. I will also say that Auburn is due for a hiccup. It's time for them to make a mistake. They've gotten really lucky the past couple of games on a lot of stuff, and I just don't see that trend continuing. That's just what I see. I'm not going to get into the college football playing rankings because it doesn't matter. After this weekend, 90% of that stuff's going to sort itself out. Do I see Alabama back in the mix? No, I don't. Even if it's a close game between Georgia and Auburn and Georgia edges Auburn, I don't see how you can put Alabama ahead of Georgia at that point, because we did beat Auburn, or would have beat, or have beaten Auburn at that point. And I don't see how, if Georgia loses, how you could somehow get Alabama to jump Auburn. I don't see that happening. Clemson wins. Nobody's going to doubt that. But like I said, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it. I just don't see how Alabama can get in at this point. Short of some kind of weird miracle happening. As far as the Auburn team versus Alabama team, that game, Alabama looked very different in that game than what Georgia looks like when they play. They gave Auburn a little better run for their money, but not much. And it's because of the same thing. They had some mistakes. They didn't play the way they should have played. Some bad play calling here and there. So, I mean, it absolutely is what it is. Looking forward, I'm really excited. I've got some friends who want me to come hang out with them. That's not a good idea, because I'm going to be emotional during that game. I'm going to be wilding out. If it gets down to the last seconds and Georgia's winning that game, I'll probably do a fan reaction video. If not, if my work hadn't heard from me by Monday, y'all might want to come look for me. It's going to be intense. I'm excited. A lot of the Georgia games I really haven't had a reason to be really excited about, because the games have kind of been blowouts, which is great for the team. But as a fan who really enjoys that super exciting moments, late in the game where we win, that haven't had a whole lot of those this year. The Notre Dame game was one, but the rest of them not so much. But I'm okay with that. But I think that this is going to be a game probably for the ages. If Georgia comes back and beats Auburn, and then somehow we go along and we win the national championship, I think you're going to see that this is going to be reviewed as one of the best games ever, as far as a run to the national championship, because there can't be that many national championships where you beat a team or you lost to a team earlier in the season and then you beat a team and then you went on to win the national championship. I don't know that that's ever happened, but it'd be really cool to see. So anyway, back to the Alabama Auburn. With Alabama Auburn, if you've got to play Alabama or you've got to play Auburn, it's best to play Alabama or Auburn right after Alabama and Auburn have played each other. Auburn's pretty dinged up. I know that Alabama's dinged up, and it was probably one of the reasons that they lost that game. But Georgia's got a lot of really good running backs. Kerryon Johnson went out with some kind of shoulder problem. Shoulder problems don't heal in a week. They don't. Even if you're 19 years old, they don't heal in a week. Anybody who's had a clavicle or a shoulder problem or an arm injury, they don't heal in a week. So what you're going to see is, if they try to play this guy, he comes up the line 2 or 3 times, he's going to get hammered. Roquan Smith is going to hammer this guy, and he's going to go right back out of the game. His backup was out with a rolled or sprained ankle. That doesn't go away in a week either, and after he gets folded up a couple of times, if they put him in, they're going to be down to like their 4th or 5th string. And I don't care how good you are, by the time you get to your 4th or 5th string, he's probably not good enough to carry your team during a SEC championship game. Now, you might argue, our 5th, 7th, 23rd string guy is just as good as our number 2 guy. No, if that was the case, he'd be in the games. He's not. He's got 4 carries for 10,000 yards. Okay, well, if he was that good, why isn't he the starter? Why doesn't he the backup to the starter? Why doesn't he the backup to the backup? Well, he's not. He's 5th string deep. And there's a reason behind it. And you put him in a big game like this, a lot of times those guys they can't handle the big stage. So we're really going to see what happens here. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for Georgia to come out here and knock this out of the park. If we win this game, everybody in the college football player rankings is going to be on upset alert if they think they're ranked over Georgia. I just don't see how you can keep Georgia out of number 1. Wisconsin, don't start your garbage, because no. Everybody knows you ain't played anybody. Everybody knows that once you do play somebody, you're probably going to get exposed. That's even the college football playoff committee begrudgingly puts you in the top 4, and if you weren't there, Alabama probably would be number 4. So I just don't see any. I don't see them standing up to the test of time. Miami, you're whatever. I'm not getting into you either, because I don't have the emotional aptitude today for that. Anyway, Saturday's coming, game time. Go Dogs! Looking forward to it. I will be stopping and picking up a beverage of my choice to watch this game. If you text me, call me, make sure that you do it when it's not a big moment in the game, or you'll get ignored. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing Georgia walk away with the SEC championship and then possibly the national championship. So go Dogs!